Well, hey folks, how's it going today? I hope everybody's doing really good. Today we're going to be talking about mojo a little bit. Yep, has your guitar lost its mojo? I hope not. I know this one hasn't. This is my first electric. I've had this for 40 years. Crazy. It's been to every show I've ever been to, at least for a backup, and probably used throughout the night sometime. Now, this is the second neck on this guitar. And this is why I'm using it for the demonstration. When I was a kid, I wore the other neck out and changed necks. And the guitar just lost its mojo. No more sustain, no vibration in the body. I couldn't figure out what was going on. It was driving me crazy. So then I remembered this little hack thing that I did when I was a kid. I'm sure you guys have done this. If not, try it. Put a strap on your guitar, hang it around your body, strum a chord, or strum it open. Then I want you to touch the tip of the headstock like on a table or a flat surface, right? Strum it again, and it's amplified and really loud, and it's almost like a speaker. It's crazy how much that changes. So I got thinking about that, and what I'm specifically talking about is this. This face of the heel must not have been touching the back of the neck pocket. So I was thinking of that as being like the tip of the headstock, and this being the table. I said that it must not be touching the back of that. So what I did was this. I took my guitar, flipped it over. I just took a screwdriver and I just cracked those like maybe a quarter turn. Now I just did this to this guitar. Now crack them all, and you'll hear a little cracking sound usually if it ain't been apart for a while. When you hear that sound, that's good. That's enough. Now, the whole theory behind this is pretty simple. Now I have the strings on the guitar and it's pitched to tuned up to 440. So now I have string tension pulling the neck and body together. Okay? When you bolt the neck on from the factory, there's no string tension, so it might not be touching the back of that neck pocket. That when they pump these guitars out of the factory, the tooling gets worn out. There's gaps, and that's why some guitars ring and some don't. And what you do is crack those screws like I showed you. I'll hold the body with one hand and give it a little tunk, a couple good tunks on the headstock, and make sure that that's pushing the neck back into that heel as far as it can go. The string tension is going to help you too, because it's going to hold it. So if you do gain some, the strings are going to hold it right where it is in place. Tighten the screws back up, and then check your guitar again. That is a really big deal, and it happens a lot. I see this on a lot of like Chinese guitars, Squires, that kind of stuff. The neck pockets are pretty sloppy sometimes, even on, some of the good manufacturers. I've seen the neck pockets be sloppy, that kind of thing. Side to side, we see it quite a bit. This could be a guitar pick shoved in there now. I don't know. But, as far as this way, I don't think people really put all that together. And like I said, that can be a big game changer. I've done this to every electric guitar that I own with a bolt-on neck and heard audible results. I'm not kidding you one bit. And like I said, if you don't believe the science, just touch the tip of your headstock on a table and see how much different it sounds. And if the butt end of that heel isn't touching that neck pocket, that's a lot of transfer. And if you think about it like that, if you just touch the tip of the headstock on a table, it's louder. You have a lot more surface area on the butt end of that neck. So if that's all touching that body, it's going to transfer a lot better. and it seems to transfer in this direction. And that's just my opinion. But, it is something to try. It only takes a second, and it could really improve the sound of your guitar. In this case, like I said, this is the second neck on this one. So as a kid, I wore the other one out. And the other one was rosewood. So at first I was like, oh, the maple just numbed it and it doesn't sound the same. So actually, it was a gap in the neck pocket itself. And once I did that and give it a few tunks on the headstock and held the body, I tightened it back up and I immediately heard a difference. It sounded like my old guitar again. Now, I've heard a lot of stories of guys saying, I had my guitar refretted, it doesn't sound the same, it ruined it. And maybe try this, guys, because they could have had the neck off more than likely to refret it. When I do it, I take them off. I don't want to have the body involved, worry about scratching somebody's guitar. I'll just put the body aside, take the neck, refret it, put it back together. But when they put it back together, or if you put a different neck on, sometimes that can be off, and it don't take, if there's any gap at all, you're not going to get the transfer. So hopefully this helps you guys out. It really is a big deal, trust me. And like every time I take the strings off my electrics with bolt-ons, I'll string them back up, I'll crack the bolts, give it a thump, just for good measure, because it's so quick to do it. And it doesn't take long. So, it's worth it. Another little tip I recommend. I see a lot of guys lugging their guitars out on stage by the neck. Boy, that's a no-no, in my opinion. I know it looks cool and whatnot, but if you just went through multiple states and traveling and multiple climate changes, and you're lugging it out by the neck, they can loosen up and they can do weird things. I lug them by the bout. I grab it right by the horn like that, and that's how I do it. And that way I'm not, swinging the neck around and moving stuff. Now, when you do this little trick, you want to check this as well. Measure, or you should sight down the outsides of the strings first and see if they're lined up. If this gap from the outer edge of the string to the outer edge of the fret is consistent on both E's, then you're good. If it's off and the neck's kind of skewed, you can loosen those screws up, give it a tunk, with your hand, a little tap, and put it where it needs to go, under string tension, and tighten the screws back up. And that should straighten it out. But you want that string pull to be nice and straight. Now, usually when I do this thing, the first part I showed you when I tapped on the headstock, I usually don't have any issues with it walking and wandering around. It just seems to go back straight, and you don't need a ton of gap, like you said, just a little bit. There's enough room in the screw hole, because they're wood screws, so you can manipulate that hole a little bit by tapping on it. And once that, that's done, and you may elongate the hole a little bit, that's okay, as long as it's making contact. But I do recommend tapping on it. That way it kind of, bent the hole a little bit to allow it to go back. That way when you put the screws back in tight, it don't pull the neck back out where it was. So like I said, you just crack them a little bit. You got your string tension helping you, and then just give it a tap. Bunch of taps on the end of the headstock, and that will change it, guaranteed. It might shock you how much louder and how much more ring you get out of your guitar, honestly. Now, sometimes it's not a major difference, which means that it's probably a nice tight neck pocket and everything's lined up good. But it's worth a shot, and it only takes a second, like I said. So hopefully that helps you guys out. And, like I said, if you get something that's recently refretted, it doesn't sound right, it's worth a shot to try that. And even on the guitars you've owned and played for years, if If you've never done it, you might want to try it. It might shock you how much difference is in the sound, really, honestly. All right, folks. Well, thanks for checking the video out. We'll see you guys real soon. Be good. Okie doke.